Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I thought I'd do a quick video because I'm just going through my email here, and I just got an email from a buddy of mine that is wanting to know about setting a rate, figuring out what his contract rate should be, sort of in a permanent contract position. And this friend of mine has basically done really well for himself as far as establishing himself in the software development industry. He's got a very popular GitHub repo. He's got an MVP award that's probably going to be coming up here, and a lot of other, just accolades, I would say. He's been on some pretty good podcasts here and stuff. So he wants to know basically how to set his rate with this employer. So this is kind of interesting because if you're talking about trying to negotiate a rate with a single employer, you don't really have a lot of leverage, right? So as a freelancer, when you have people coming to you or you've got multiple clients, you can sort of set your rates. And, one strategy that I always recommend is to take your rate and basically double it until people start saying no. And I mean, you can increment it by 20% or whatever it is, as well as when you get new contracts. But if you're dealing with just a single employer and you're negotiating, I mean, you're not going to have that kind of power, because one of the strongest negotiating powers that you have is the ability to walk away. And you still have that power, but it's not going to guarantee that the result that you want. So it's kind of hard to determine what your rate is going to be in that case, or to negotiate that at all. The best thing to go on is, I mean, obviously, so the answer to this question, what rate should you get, or should you ask for? The answer is the highest that they will pay. And so that is dependent on them, not you, to some degree, right? So if you are if you are the best developer in the world, right, and you have the most credentials, but their budget is only X amount of dollars or pounds or euros or whatever it is, then it doesn't matter, because they're not going to pay you that, right? So, but if their budget is really high and you are not the best candidate for the job, that they don't think they're going to get a return on your investment, then it doesn't matter either, because you're not going to be able to get that highest rate. So you kind of need that perfect combination. So another thing I would say about this also is that, this is a little bit more difficult when dealing with one particular client in this case, but this idea of value-based pricing is really, really good for consulting, doing hourly work. What you really want to do, if you want to get the highest possible rates, or the highest pay as a contractor, consultant, freelancer, is you want to show how what you're going to do, what you're going to bring to the table, is going to be worth more money, or make more money, or save more money than what it's going to cost. And you want to show a nice return on investment, what the value is going to be. And sometimes that's going to be difficult if you're going to be a long-term worker, right? If you're working on a project and someone wants like a new website for their business, and you're going to build this website and you're going to build the software backend, you could show them, you could put together an estimate, and you could say, look, this is what, you could interview them and say, this is what you're currently doing in your business. This is what every lead that you generate or every sale that you make is worth. And this is how much I think that I can increase the value. Here's how much I think I can generate you, X amount more leads per month. Or we can increase the sales price or the sales volume by so much by me doing this work, by creating this value for you. And then based on that, you can say, now, wouldn't it make sense? Wouldn't it be worth paying me X dollars to do that for you? And that's going to give you that rate. So this is not something necessarily that you can do. I mean, you might be able to do it in a contract position, but so what is my answer to all this? Basically, it's this: try to negotiate the best that you can. Try to come up with the highest rate that you think that you could possibly get in this case, but you're not going to have a lot of leverage here, even with a reputation, even with all of this stuff, because unless you have a bunch of alternatives that you can play against each other, or you have this, or you're doing freelance work, or you can do some kind of value-based pricing, you're kind of going to have to look at I would, if I were you, if I were looking at negotiating this, I would try to find historically what is the highest rate they've ever paid a contractor, and if you feel like you can justify yourself as being better than or as good as that contractor was, then you can start there and see if you can get that rate because you know they've paid it before. Aside from that, it's going to be really hard to determine. If you know what the day rates are for senior devs, you can try to do that. You can try to go a little bit above that, but you're not going to get in a sort of like steady job, contract job. It's going to be very difficult to get unless someone really approaches you and makes an offer to you directly without you coming after them, and not just a recruiter messaging you and saying we'd like you to apply for this job, but the company saying, hey, we listened to you on such and such, we saw this, we want to hire you for this job. In that case, you're going to have more negotiating power, and maybe you're going to be able to get some kind of what I'd call like a rock star salary, like a really, really high salary, really high hourly rate. But aside from that, if you're applying for the job, if you're talking to this employer, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Like you just don't have the leverage. That's the only thing. Like it doesn't mean you're not qualified. It doesn't mean, it's just that you're not going to have the leverage. So anyway, I hope that helps. And if you got a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and take care. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care.